Yeah, and apologize for the late start, but I have some special news. No kidding. This is very special news. And the news is that this Thursday, this Thursday of a week after Thanksgiving, and what will be roughly 2 weeks before Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, comes out, I'll have a special guest, Laurent Marquand, movie director, to talk about his brand new movie. It just came out November 21st, and this will be the first interview about American Jedi. That's right, American Jedi. American Jedi is a documentary about three people who've dedicated their lives, or I should say more appropriately, rededicated their lives to being Jedi Knights. These are real life people, folks. I'm not kidding you. This movie, American Jedi, is about three real live people, 2 men, 1 woman, who have dedicated their lives to being Jedi Knights. This is not fantasy. This is a brand new, real life documentary. My friend Laurent Berkeley. So, American Jedi, Thursday night, 8:30, Zenny 62. Laurent and I will talk about his brand new movie, which will be a cult classic. I'm telling you, it's going to be an absolute cult classic. I cannot wait for this talk about American Jedi 2 weeks before The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi appears. How about that? The Last Jedi. Okay, now I can say, after I got that bit of news, I hope everybody comes at 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 and Eastern Time to watch my interview with Laurent talking about American Jedi. That's right, the movie's name is American Jedi. Say it one more time, American Jedi. That's the name, American Jedi. So, I'm really happy for Laurent. This is a movie that he spent 4 years making. 4 years. 4 years making this documentary film. And I just, when he called, he found me on, well, we've been friends for some time, but he connected with me. He connected with me today, sent me a Facebook message, and I was in the middle of helping my parents out and everything else. So I didn't bother to look at it. I thought it was just the normal Thanksgiving, salutation, or post-Thanksgiving salutation, but no, he's got this incredible new movie, American Jedi. American Jedi. It's like American Gangster. Melvin Lovejoy asked me, who do I think Rey's father is? Well, there is an account that I read that I'm starting to really buy into that says that Rey really never had a father per se, and that she was a kind of a, what is it called? An immaculate birth, and that she's really Anakin Skywalker. Has anyone actually seen that take? That script is flying around. It was posted sometime a few months ago on Reddit, actually a year ago almost on Reddit. And I read it in its entirety. It was passed around thousands of times. I have seen very little to dissuade me from thinking that Rey is actually the second coming of Anakin Skywalker. Now, that produces a bit of a quandary for Finn, I guess. Well, why? Rey's a woman. So if he wants to have sex, yeah, fine, go ahead, fine, all right? But there's got to be something sorted out there about sex education and everything, because Rey doesn't seem to quite get it. Well, sometimes it's kind of like the hug thing. Well, anyway, you get the idea, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know what you think, all right? So in terms of who I think Ray's father is, that Melvin says, I've seen a lot of different opinions, all interesting. What other ones have you seen before I switch to NFL football? But hey, Raider Kuko, now say hi to everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey, Rick Rice. Hey, all 25 of you who are here. Thank you very much. Barry Lee is here. Barry, nice to have you. And if you're on Twitter, please tweet out hashtag Raiders, hashtag NFL. Thank you. I'm about to do the same thing. And yeah, the Baltimore Ravens are 2-2, as my mom would say. Well, although she wanted the Texans to win. But hey, look, the Texans don't have Deshaun Watson. They don't have TJ Watt. Boy, the Texans are just not what they used to be. Okay. JJ Watt, excuse me. I said TJ Watt. Thinking about the Steelers guy. But they don't have JJ Watt. They don't have Marcellus Wiley. When I think of the Texans, the word they don't have comes up quite a bit. So I don't expect much from them. Hey, ML Scott, how are you? How are you doing? Now, let's get to the headlines, okay? Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib suspended 2 games each for violations of unsportsmanlike conduct and unnecessary roughness rules. I will repeat. Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib suspended 2 games each for violations of unsportsmanlike conduct and unnecessary roughness rules. This comes from the National Football League. For immediate release, Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib suspended 2 games for violations of unsportsmanlike conduct and unnecessary roughness rules. Michael Crabtree of the Oakland Raiders and Aqib Talib of the Denver Broncos have been suspended without pay for 2 games each for violations of unsportsmanlike conduct and unnecessary roughness rules in Sunday night's game between the Raiders and the Broncos. NFL Vice President of Football Operations Jon Runyan issued the suspensions. In his letter to Crabtree notifying him of the suspension, Runyan wrote, "The series of flagrant violations for which you are being disciplined begins with 12:31 remaining in the first quarter, less than 3 minutes into the game. First, you punched a Broncos opponent, Chris Harris, in the midsection, resulting in him being removed from the game. Then, in the subsequent play, you blocked a different Broncos opponent, Aqib Talib, into the sidelines beyond the yellow media border, well after the play was over. Your actions triggered a melee and endangered various sideline and league personnel, including one of our game officials who was injured trying to maintain control of the situation. Finally, during the ensuing altercation, you grabbed and twisted that same person's face mask and threw a punch at him. Such actions have no place in this game, engender ill will between teams, and lead to further confrontations." In his letter to Talib, notifying him of the suspension, Runyan wrote, "The series of flagrant violations for which you are being disciplined began less than 3 minutes into the game. First, while competing on the field of play, you deliberately ripped your opponent's chain from his neck, just as you did last year when you played against him. Then, when the 2 of you went to the ground after a subsequent play, you aggressively removed his helmet and threw it in his direction, endangering him and various sideline personnel in the near vicinity. Finally, once you were momentarily separated from your opponent, you again engaged him and threw a punch. Such actions have no place in this game, engender ill will between teams, and lead to further confrontations." Crabtree is suspended for games against the New York Giants and Kansas City Chiefs and will be eligible to return to the Raiders' active roster on Monday, December 11th, following the team's December 10th game against Kansas City. Talib is suspended for games against the Miami Dolphins and New York Jets and will be eligible to return to the Broncos' active roster on Monday, December 11th, following the team's December 10th game against the Jets. Under the collective bargaining agreement, the suspensions may be appealed within 3 business days. Appeals are heard and decided by either Derek Brooks or James Thrash. The officers jointly appointed and compensated by the National Football League and the National Football League Players Association to decide appeals of on-field player discipline. And there you have it, folks. That is the full National Football League press release stating the reasons for the decisions on the 2-game suspensions each of Crabtree, Michael Crabtree, and Aqib Talib. And in reading, I'm going to read your comments on this. First, Crawford 371 says, I think the bans will be upheld. Big April says, hello, Crawford and Big April, by the way, says it should be reduced to 1 game each. Barry Lee says the NFL should ban the Raiders from moving to Vegas. Crawford says, right on, Barry. Big April says, don't worry, Barry, that's coming later. I have some Vegas news, by the way. Crawford also says, Raven Insider file appeal. Crawford says Crabtree and Talib in the octagon and next UFC. Barry Lee says, I heard Luke's father is here. Raider Kuko, how you guys doing? So I'm kind of reading backward. Hello, everybody. But moving forward now, I 1,000% back the suspensions. And not only that, thinking about this in whole, can anyone remember a Raider team that's had as many players suspended as this one? Because we have, this year, I'm sure. Let me check and see if that comes up. Like Oakland Raiders team. I'm typing Oakland Raiders team suspensions. Year, season, NFL season. I may not get what I'm looking for, but let's see here. Remember, list of suspensions and the National Football League. Wikipedia has them. Let's see here. But I don't know if there's a record for them. They've got, I guess the first suspension ever in the National Football League was on Art Fultz of the Chicago Cardinals in December 17th of 1925. Involvement in the 1925 Chicago Cardinals Milwaukee Badgers scandal. It was a light suspension. And that was pretty much it. You had April 3rd, 1947, Frank Philkoch and Merle Haps suspended for life. I know I said, I'm sorry. The first one I read out wasn't light, it was life. This one was also life. And what did they do? They were both quarterback. One was quarterback, the other was running back, respectively, the New York Giants. They were accused of fixing the 1946 NFL championship game. Okay? So then, as years went on, the list got longer, of course, and a lot more frequent, to the point where this only goes up to September 7th. But even then, I don't see, there's the Cowboys, those are coaches, but I don't see the Raiders. You would think the Raiders had quite a few suspensions, but the Raiders don't. He's going up to, this is rather generous, this is going up to the 20th, 4 games. This is Marcus Gilbert, the offensive tackle of the Steelers. They don't have, the Crabtree thing just came down. And so they do not list, and this list is unreliable. This list doesn't even mention Marshawn Lynch, so I can't count on it. This is a Wikipedia list that is grossly inadequate to the task of information. It's inadequate to the task of accurately informing us. It's infuriating. Anyway, Crawford says Chris Harris is likely like a LeBron. And Lovejoy says, yeah, I agree, inconclusive. No, my stance on this is anyone who fights should not play. And I'll go a step further and say this. And it's based on what I just read here. It's a question that I have. And look, some are not going to like it, but I'm going to ask the question. But let me read this first. In his letter to Crabtree, notifying him of the suspension, Runyon wrote, the series of flagrant violations for which you are being disciplined began with 12:31 remaining in the first quarter, less than 3 minutes into the game. First, you punched a Broncos opponent, Chris Harris, in the midsection, resulting in him being removed from the game. Then, on the subsequent play, you blocked a different Broncos opponent, Aqib Talib into the sideline beyond the yellow media border well after the play was over. And note, this was the subsequent play. That means the next one. So he was loaded, he being Crabtree, was loaded for bear. My question is he hyped up on something when he goes into the game that augments this kind of behavior? Because it has nothing to do with football. I mean, did somebody say, or did someone say, you know, you two start a fight for ratings so that we can bolster our ratings and bolster our social media presence as a league? Because, look, I would not put that past anybody at all connected with the National Football League. And I'm not saying it's untoward. I'm saying it's media genius. Yeah, it really is media genius. I go all the way back to, in my suspicion of this sort of thing, by the league, I go all the way back to Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. At the time, the NFL was about to enter its talks for its new contract, and this was the Houston Super Bowl. This was 2004, okay? And the talks were just about to come up. And all of a sudden, you have the whole bra thing. And oh my God, the NFL was the buzz. Not just for that, you know, next day after the Super Bowl, which the Patriots won, but the whole week, and then the following week, and the following week after that. The incident proved the media power, if it was in doubt, and it was to some, of the National Football League. It just did. Leading me to think right there, as I'm watching this play out, and then we're in our hotel room after we came back from the game, and I said to Rachel, I said to Rachel, hey, you know what? I think they did that on purpose. I don't put it past them. And in this instance, I don't take this with a grain of salt, because absent its stupidity, it's a brilliant media thing. Now, if it really demonstrably had nothing to do with the NFL, you know, trying to game the system, then I don't support it. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't. So let's see here. Big April says Mark Davis has to grow. Wait a minute. Okay, now our folks are weighing in here, and what we get here is that in terms of our comments, because we have a lot of comments, Crawford says they're both appealing. He thinks the bans will be upheld. Big April says it should be reduced to 1 game each. I disagree. The NFL should ban the Raiders from the moving to Vegas. Big April says, don't worry, but we got all that part. Melvin Lovejoy says 2 games is too much to me. Turned into 3 games. I don't understand that message. ML Scott writes, I think the penalty should be higher for Talib. He was more the dominant aggressor. But the way you would read what Runyon wrote, it's the opposite. And it's because, see, Michael Crabtree has attacked 2 people, not 1. He attacked Chris Harris and Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib only attacked 1 person. So Rick Rice says Talib shot himself in the leg again. Melvin Lovejoy says laugh out loud. That's a reference to Talib's gun problem. Crawford 371 says Denver will eventually part ways with Talib. He has not been good this year, and he has a headache. Rick Rice says Crab did not punch Harris. It was a normal block. Harris is just a clam. Big Eightful says, is this more on Jack Del Rio for not having control of the team, or is it on the players for losing control? Thoughts, Zinsters? I think it's more on Jack Del Rio not having control of the team. And let me turn that around and put it an entirely other way. Since we're at a time, rightfully in our society, where people don't like to hear the idea that players are controlled or that they are inmates in a prison, let's, wink, wink, let's turn the nomenclature around and say that it looks like Jack Del Rio has not communicated to his players the importance of discipline. How's that? Okay. And I think we would be correct. They don't play like it. They don't play like they really care. I mean, it's not just this, right? It's Donald Penn going after Sal, getting out of his $200,000, was it $200,000 Bentley, black, with black tinted windows, going up like he's gonna, like, you know, beat up Sal. And Sal's like, I'm here, which, you know, Sal should have been taunting him. But hey, Sal's a kid compared to Donald Penn, right? I mean, you know, he's a season ticket holder who, admittedly, I think if Sal wanted to say, admittedly, I think Sal would not do what he did if he had that entire moment back. Knowing how things transpired, knowing what happened with the season tickets, I think Sal would have said, you know what, Donald Penn, I'm not gonna say anything to you. Maybe he would have said something more polite, but that would be that. Or if Donald Penn wrote what he wrote, he had said to the Raiders, hey, look, I was really nice to the guy, and then he flames me, right? I will bet that Sal wish he had that moment back. But Donald Penn got out of his car. So we have Donald Penn getting out of his car, Marshawn Lynch getting off the bench, Crabtree picking a fight like this. Did I miss something? This is all this year. This is all this year. Am I missing something? Okay. Melvin Lovejoy says, I hope Gabe doesn't get suspended. I think if Gabe were going to get suspended, it would have happened by now. Chris Harris says, Chris Harris was acting like LeBron. Gabe will not be suspended. That was reported. Melvin Lovejoy says, yeah, I agree. Inconclusive on Harris punch. Barry Lee says, I saw on the news the Browns are expected at the end of the season to fire the entire front office staff, including the general manager and coaching staff, in order to start over from scratch. Well, that's fine, but, you know, we'll talk about that later. I'll just simply say that, hey, maybe that's a job for me. I'll throw my hat in the ring and just see what happens, an application as general manager. What have I got to lose? Why not? What do I have to lose? Put together a plan for how I'd resurrect the Browns franchise? What do I have to lose? Nothing. Anyway, Crawford 371 says, just imagine Al Davis today, if he were alive. He would have fought the Crabtree suspension. I don't think Crabtree would have been allowed to do what he did under Davis because Mr. Davis likes adults, but he does not like unreasonable behavior. And Michael Crabtree's behavior can be thought of as nothing less than unreasonable. What Mr. Davis liked in terms of his play, and I said this last night, is being rough during the whistle, not after the whistle. All of these incidents happen after the whistle. It wasn't during the whistle where someone can say, hey, George Atkinson knocked me out, man. George Atkinson used a forearm shiver. I think he's got some concrete in there, man. You know what I mean? That's during the play. And the Pittsburgh Steelers had their own list of transgressions, you know, between whistles, okay? So much so that it was said to that both teams were said to have a criminal element. But that criminal element had to do with what happened when the whistle was blown and play started. Okay? It wasn't like this. This is truly criminal element stuff. And it's really disappointing. I'm just saying, all right? So, Pedro Gallardo says Marcel Reese and Aldon Smith. I guess he wants an update. Crawford says Barry, they need a new owner in Cleveland. Raven Insider says bring Hugh Jacks back to run the O. He was very creative with limited resources during his tenure. I agree. Crawford says Big 8, this is just pure dysfunction in the organization from top to bottom. Barry Lee says, Crawford, I agree, and the National Football League needs to follow their lead before there's more harm to the league with these stupid decisions like Vegas. Crawford 371 says, the NFL is in major crisis destruction. Big Eightful says, Mark Davis has to go, then Crawford 371 as a question mark. Ravensider says, I heard, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to skip that. He says, I heard, oh boy, there's a lot of here. Hey, Harry Dunn, how you doing? Lots of comments, there's a lot of comments here. But I heard there's more crime in Vegas than New York City. Crawford says, yes. Eric Guerrera, how are you? He says, I'm all in for the 2 weeks. Kids are watching the game. Kids need to know it's not okay to fight. I agree. Rick Rice says, it's the league's fault. They should have fined or suspended Talib last year when he snatched his train the first time. Can't believe they did it. Absolute nothing. Barry Lee said, I don't know about Vegas being more than New York, but it's close. Big April says, I'm with you. Crawford 371. Raven Insider said, Rice, yep, the league let it fester. Yeah, they did. And now it's like, so Crawford 371 says, Rick, I think Talib not getting fined last year was a result of the NFL brass feelings toward the Raiders and their Las Vegas plans. That's interesting. Barry Lee says, but this does show that Jack Del Rio has lost control of his locker room, and if that's the case, then maybe a change is needed. Yeah, I'm beginning to not entirely concur, but I'm beginning to think that way. Yeah, I'm still mulling it over. It's not personal toward Jack, but we need to win, and we need to win without this sort of erratic behavior, okay? And we've seen a lot of it this year. There's something clearly wrong. There really is. So, Rick Rice says, did Gabe Jackson get any fine or suspension? No. Donald Penn? No. And I don't expect it to, no. Harry Dunn says he was blocking Harris, not attacking him. No, but the whole point, Harry, is look, everyone saw that Crabtree did this thing under him, okay? Now, all right, it was a dirty maneuver. It was a dirty play. He punched him. Now, it was during the play. It wasn't after the play. But, well, in the case of Aqib Talib, Michael blocked him, and then he didn't stop after the whistle. Okay? So, yeah, so there's an issue about Crabtree blocking Harris, but you can't block someone and basically hit them like, give them the kidney punch in the ribs and stuff like that. Right? That's not right. Josh Shegerson says, I need to see another angle on that Harris punch. Looks like a block from the angle we get to see. Ravensider says, I don't agree with any phantom punch on Chris Harris. It looks like Harris was acting from what I saw. Rick Rice says, I saw the punch too. It wasn't anything excessive. It's ridiculous. Well, but look, that's not the point. The point is it happened, and therefore it's fine. And on that basis alone, Michael Crabtree was wrong. Okay. This is not kids' playtime. These are adults. They're supposed to be playing football, and here we are discussing their fight technique. So, which I think is really absolutely, what the fuck is wrong with you all? I mean, why do you have to, encourage people to fight? I mean, I'm serious. What's wrong with you? I mean, come on. I mean, this is nothing about, and this is what gets to me. This is what really ticks me off. It's nothing about the strategy of the game. Nothing about, do you remember what formation they were lined up in? I do, okay? It was a single back with wing on the left and tight end, Jared Cook on the line. And it was, it started out to be an off tackle, I believe, to the left. No, it wasn't off tackle to the left. That was the first play. It was a pass. But no, off tackle to the left, okay. And then, it got, 4 yards and not much more, and then all of a sudden stuff broke out. my point is, you all pay much more attention to the fighting, it seems to me, than the strategy. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. So, Raven Cyrus says, I don't agree with the Phantom Punch on Chris Harris. Rick Rice says, got that one. Bruce Harris says, Del Rio's trying to be a friend, not a coach. You might be on to something to that. Raven Cyrus says, the league watches those BS talk shows with drinking coffee. That stuff plants the negative seeds. I'm not sure I get that one. Crawford371 says, this has been a you-know-what show with the Raiders so far. Yeah. And Blue Man, like Blue Man Group? Blue Man says, Lynch is real low IQ mouth breather. Get rid of him after the season's over. More trouble than he's worth. Harry Dunn says, all those players you mentioned, Zinni, over 30. They know better. It's not on Del Rio. Harry, that's a great point. I mean, but here's, okay, look, they're over 30, and I see your point, and I think it's a great one, but upon reflection, I disagree. My point is, in fact, it underscores that Del Rio ought to be able to reach them because they're over 30. In other words, there's no excuse like, oh, you're young, okay? So, all right? So, no. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that, all right? So, but it's an interesting point. Pedro Gallardo says, the Crabtree punch Harris dude, I don't care. Pedro, you can talk to me about fight specifics. I don't care. Okay? I don't care, all right? I mean, okay? And it's like, and let me calm down, Pedro, because I misread your, I misread your comment. Pedro Gallardo said, Crabtree punched Harris dude, and if it was a block, it was too vicious. I'm glad he only got 2 games suspended. Okay, you're right. Sorry about that. That was personality disorder there. Fixed. I fixed it. Okay. Fixed. Okay. Now, Guerrero says, yes, number 16 wide receiver throwing a punch last week. Yeah. And Rick Rice says, it's a tough situation for Del Rio. I'm sure he wants to discipline his players, but we really need them right now. Maybe it was earlier in the season he would have done something. Blue Man says, Reggie is, taking away 2014. He looks horrible. Joseph Bensman says, Crabtree is out for the next 2. Ouch. Hope the Raiders can withstand it. Rick Rice, and welcome, Joseph. Rick Rice says, Pedro, if you had a link to different angle, post it. From what I saw, it was not a punch. And, I would normally turn to it, okay? And, but what's going on is with copyright rules and everything, and YouTube's being weirder about what a copyright is or is not, and people are filing. I just thought I'd leave it alone. I made one video about it before, but I didn't get the part they were talking about. So, and I want to sort of move along and talk about Vegas anyway. So I think we're going to be good on this and move forward until I can find something that nah, I'm going to move on from it. Forget it. In terms of finding something to show. Talking about it, fine. But as Rick Rice is asking if I could post the Harris punch, and from what he saw, it looked like a normal block. Maybe there's a better shot that he hasn't seen it. And Latavius Murray says it was better chemistry-wise. In the interest of news, I'll do it anyway, okay? Because I think it's more important to... have that out there. Then to look at. Michael Crabtree block, okay? And let's see here. We've got NFL. I'm getting the video you asked for so that we can have a look at what's going on. But I'm going to do it in a very what's the word I'm looking for? A way that ensures fair use legal rights. Specifically my fair use legal rights, okay? So hold on a second here. I'm waiting for this to start up, and of course it's not starting up. Okay, in order to avoid Chris Harris. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see here. Ah, here we go. All right. This is... Hold on a second. All right. Here it is. Right here, okay? This is Michael Crabtree and Chris Harris. And what we have is, if we go up here, what they're pointing at is coming back this, okay? We have a snap. There goes Chris Harris. Now watch. Oh, that was in the sternum. That was in the sternum. Okay, that was in the sternum, folks. Ouch, that was in the sternum. So that was clearly a punch. That was clearly a punch. That was in the sternum. That was not cool. All right. So Rick Price, there you go. I did that. And Crawford says Latavius Murray was better for chemistry wise. Big Apple says Marshawn is getting better. Denver's D is a tough run D, and Lynch had some good tough runs. Keep him. Barry Lee says it's called the National Football League, not the National Fight League. I agree. I agree. Beta Kuko says folks like the fighting need to switch folk sports. And Crawford informs us the Warriors and the Kings are tied at 106. Man, everyone's caught up to the Warriors game. That's too bad. The Warriors have lost their edge. Eric Guerrero says, I'm with you, Zinni. Stop the violence. This is a football game. Thank you. Marcellus Thomas says, Talib should have been suspended last year for ripping a chain off of, the same aforesaid Michael Crabtree. Crawford 371 says, Kevin Harlan play-by-play of the fight was pure gold. I have to see that one. Big April says, Barry, I wish boxing had a belt called the National Fight League. Barry, that was dope. Rick Rice says, that's what I've been saying, Marcellus. Marcellus says, I'm sorry, you two, my chain twice in 12 months. We got a problem, yo. Okay, this is funny, though. Dude, how about that? How about, what was it? Someone posted a video saying Michael Crabtree has lost his chain twice in his mid-seasons. Giving new meaning to the term, dude, you're off the chain. Because the chain is off you. All right. Am I being hypocritical by joking about it? Yes, I am. I admit that. Because from an entirely other perspective, it is funny. Don't want on my team, though. Comic relief. Oh, yeah. Oh, big laugher. Oh, boy, I make my stomach hurt. Oh, okay. Hey, John Marks, how are you? What's up, John? As Big April would say. Marcellus says, that is on the league. Should have nipped that in the bud. I agree. Gervian Dillon says, Marcellus was the last game of their year. Talking about the last time that happened. To which Rob Island says, dilly dilly. To which I say, Bud Light? Barry Lee says, dilly dilly. To which I say, Bud Light? Kanye East says, how long is Amari Cooper out? Let's see here. He was concussed. I don't know that. I'll wait until I get the official injury report from the league tomorrow. I don't believe. Let me see what's been written to that point on that. I didn't see Amari Cooper because the Raiders. I'm sure they've submitted the report, right? But the It knocked him out of the game with a concussion, but I don't know what they're going to do as far as later. Darian Stewart says he's going to appeal any NFL fine for this hit. Because his hit was legal. I mean, he clearly didn't go after him with his helmet. He did everything he could, talking about Stewart, to contort his body so that his back got first contact and not the crown of his helmet, or his helmet for that matter. So, you know, I have to grudgingly give props to Darian Stewart for doing the right thing. That's just, you know, the way it is. So, Rick Rice says, all these people saying fighting shouldn't be in the NFL, and I completely agree. But when you're supposed to, if your chain gets snatched twice, buy a new one. Marcellus Thomas says, he could have been suspended in game one this season. Actually, you're right. You're right, Marcellus. Rob Iman says the NFL should ban jewelry next season. Yeah, that's an even better idea. Get your jewelry off the field, man. Keep it in the locker room. What are you doing wearing this stuff on the field anyway? Crawford 371 says they eventually will, Rob. Groove Dillon says it's not about banning jewelry. It would help, okay? Crawford says Kings 110, Warriors 106 final. Ooh, Warriors, man. Warriors are in trouble. You know what? I think the Warriors probably missed that replenishment window. But on the other hand, how do you recreate a Steph Curry, Klay Thompson? You know, I mean, they're not there yet. And maybe I'm going to say something that is contrary, but maybe Kevin Durant is not what they needed to keep, right? They should have just said one and done. And the reason why I hold to that now is Kevin Durant is not, he came in hungry to get it after being around for a while, and now he's got it, and I contend that he's just playing out the string. Kevin Durant is not Kevin Durant. He's not hungry anymore, and it's impacting a team that is also not as hungry. And so when you put that together and add the fact that people are used to their style of play now, it equals what we're seeing. That's my theory about the whole thing. So Rick Rice says that Ron Ahmed says the Warriors were without Durant and Green tonight. Okay, so I stand corrected on that. And Eric Guerrero says the Raiders' new rule: no more chains on game day. Leave your 2 chains home. Rick Capel says, Rick, Giants, yes, but after them is the Chiefs. We need them for the Chiefs. Yep. And hey, Steve Macy, how are you? How are you? And Rick Rice says Crab should not appeal. It'll just postpone his 2 games per suspension. The next 2 games we should win without him. We need him more for the rest of the games. Yeah, he's more of your possession type guy. But hey, you give Seth Roberts a chance to really be the big gun. Be fun to watch. Patrick M. Blackman says what Talib did was Bush League, and he did it twice and laughed about it. Yep. And he sure did. And Pedro says, thanks, Zinni, for reading my comment. My pleasure. And thank you for understanding, you know. And so Gerb says, so you think Crab will be suspended 2 games? I think so. Rick Rice says, same shot I saw. Doesn't look like a punch to me. It's the NFL. See, that looked like a punch to me. You know, that was a wind-up. Here's the wind-up and the pitch. Oh, it's right in the gut. Oh, man, what'd you do that for me for? Oh, boy, that really hurt. Steve Macy says, isn't it sad that even though it was wrong, Mark doesn't speak out to defend his player? I don't know. I think Mark doesn't like that. I would hope Mark Davis doesn't like that. I really would. Big April says if he gets what? Yeah. Crawford says Draymond played tonight. Curry, Durant, and Iguodala did not. Oh, so we weren't even in great shape to win. Rob Iman says Raiders need to upgrade the receiver core next season, and they don't need Crabtree as a part of retool. Okay, so who should we get in the draft? I don't expect anybody to have an answer for that right now. Just let that linger out there for a few weeks, okay? Now, are you ready for the Vegas news? I'll bet that's why you tuned in, isn't it? Are you ready? Huh? Isn't it? I'll bet that's why you came to visit my little channel, isn't it? You wanted to see what I was going to say. What kind of update I was going to give you about the Raiders, about Vegas, about that silly attempt to move that little dinky. Well, anyway, you get the idea. What you were probably waiting for that, and you're probably waiting with all the bated breath of Foghorn Leghorn. Do you know who Foghorn Leghorn is? Well, I say that man does like to talk about football strategy, doesn't he? That's Foghorn Leghorn. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Let's see here. Hey, Ruder Kuko, that was an accident, all right? And that was an accident. So put that message back. I was trying to get something else, Ruder Kuko, and I didn't mean to delete your message. So please bring that back. Bring that back. Okay. Upgrade in free agency might be. Rick Rice says Cooper is soft. Joseph Bensman says, on the Raiders-Broncos fight, it reminds me of the Yankees-Tigers fighting in the past season. Next year, we have unfinished drama, business with the Tigers and my Yankees. And, okay. And so for those, I got to say this. For those of you who look at the Crabtree thing and the Keith thing and says, oh, those brothers fight all the time, I really ask you to take a look at Major League Baseball and then say in the next breath, you don't watch baseball, do you? I mean, that's like white guy fights all the time, or, you know, Latino on Latino, or white on Latino action, right? So I'm serious, okay? So it's not what you think. You can't go there with this. You just can't. You can't. It's like, well, what's the term? Stupidness reigns everywhere. Regardless of color, regardless of sport, stupidness reigns. That's what it is, it's stupidness, okay? So, Sammy Watkins is. Zoll says, old school Raider fan, love Mike Crabtree standing up for himself. Well, I don't. But the whole point, because that wasn't standing up for himself, that was looking for a fight. I'm gonna hit you. And then it turns up, so another guy turns around and says, well, you wanna hit me? I wanna take your gold chain. Yeah, give me that thing. Okay. Vegas news. All right. Vegas news. Joseph Bensman says, and there will be more next year, Crawford. Can't do nothing when people are throwing at people. Yep. Barry Lee says, look at hockey. Thank you very much. Yeah. You go to hockey and it's like you go to a fight and a hockey game breaks out. Right? So what's the Vegas news? I will tell you. All right. I had a talk with my friend Stanley Washington, the longtime community activist trying to work to get more blacks, women, and minorities, Latinos, jobs on the Oakland Raiders Las Vegas Stadium site. And he told me that they are not even still, today, as of today, November 27th, the Oakland Raiders, are not even close to having a community benefits agreement done. And when I asked him what the same set of issues, the Raiders, among other things, do not want to commit to a number for minority hiring. Okay? They don't want specific numbers. Now, here's what's really rankling a lot of people. MGM has no problem meeting such numbers in Las Vegas. And so Bill Hornbuckle, MGM's president who sits on the Las Vegas Stadium Authority board, is like, hey, you know, why are you balking about this 15%? We do 25%, we reach it, it's nothing. Okay? So, according to Stanley, the Raiders are balking at that. I asked Stanley if Tommy White regretted any of his racist take and tweets, and he says no, Tommy White doesn't regret it all. That's part of his MO, his modus operandi. And he said that, Tommy White said there are 3 board members that are at odds with the Raiders in terms of how they're handling this. One of them is Bill Hornbuckle, the MGM president. The other is Keith Evans, who is from the Urban League of Las Vegas. And the third is Stephen Hill, the president of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. They all want the Raiders to come up with concrete numbers, and the reason is that they have examples, particularly in the face of MGM, having numbers that they have then exceeded, okay, gone beyond. So that's the latest right there. And as Crawford says, stay in Oakland. Crawford says the NFL needs to investigate the potential discrimination. Yeah, it would be nice if they did. But I get the feeling the NFL is doing this. What are you talking? What? Huh? What? What? Raiders are trying to do what? Oh, that thing. Yeah. We need to go and talk with him. So, Big Apple says, this sounds like a Mark Davis, Mark Bourdain issue. Crawford says, in addition, Sands are building an entertainment complex. Rob Hyman says, move to Levi's. Build a stadium in Oakland. Woohoo! 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 And John Marks says, the NFL is pulling a Stevie Wonder. What's that? See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil? Kind of like that, right? Crawford says, the Backstreet Boys can't save them. Ooh! 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 Barry Lee says, what's the deadline again for the agreements? That's May 16th, 2018. That's the deadline. And at this point, let's see, you've got, let's see here. We've got December, January, February, March, April, May. So that time frame is getting short. Okay. Getting short. Getting short, Martin. So, have no fear, John Marks is here. I like that. Crawford 371 says, I got that one. And, oh, let's see here. Got the deadline part. Jay Chavez, how are you? And asks, if the deadline is not reached, what happens? Okay. The deadline is spelled out in Senate Bill 1. Let me read it to you, okay? Just so that you know that, particularly for you first-timers, let me read this Nevada SB1. Hold on a second. Open that bad boy up and read it to you. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I'm just going to go to the part that I know. Okay. Let's see here. Diversity. Okay, here we go. Okay. This is section this is section 38 of the bill. Section 38, in fact, if you go to the bill now, and there's a summary, there's a bill summary on page 2, right? In bold black, section 38 reads, if certain conditions for the undertaking of the National Football League Stadium project are not satisfied, the president of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, may elect to pursue a college football stadium project if, after the president of the university makes such an election, certain conditions are satisfied, the proceeds of the tax imposed pursuant to Section 33 of this bill must be transferred to a campus improvement authority created by Section 39 of this bill to carry out the college football stadium project under Sections 39 through 52 of this bill. If the president of the university does not elect to pursue a college football stadium project or makes such an election but fails to satisfy certain conditions, like getting $200 million in his pocket, well, not his pocket, but the university's to build the stadium, right? That sort of thing, right? Okay. The proceeds of the tax imposed pursuant to Section 33 of this bill must be transferred to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority and used to pay the cost to renovate or expand the Las Vegas Convention Center pursuant to Sections 53 through 61.7 of the bill, or the principal and interest or bonds or other securities issued for that project. So that's it. So there I laid it out for you. That's it, okay? So, very strong. Very strong. Okay, so there's the answer about your debt. There's your answer, Mr. Chavez. Crawford says Backstreet Boys will be catching Crabtree hands in Oakland. Crawford says also Andre was hands also. Andre Ward, I meant. And Rick Rice says if they don't, I gotta get I gotta get Andre Ward on here. And Rick Rice says if they don't meet the deadline, they'll probably just extend it, right? No, I mean, there's nothing in there that allows for an extension. There's no, it's a law. In order for that to happen, they would have to go to the legislature and request that. But there's no provision in the bill, Rick Rice, to ask that. By contrast, the bill had a provision to ask for the extension. You can't just go up and say, well, gee, I'll ask for this, or I can do this because the bill exists. No, it has to be written in the bill. Very important to read the bill. You can't do that. So John Mark says, Blue Man Group can't save Vegas, laugh out loud. Big April says, the Oakland Raiders are the Milli Vanilli of the NFL. Oh, jeez. Rick Rice says, Blue Man Group is elite. Crawford says, and so is Joe Flacco. Crawford 371 says, UNLV is getting what they want come May. John and Mark says, never fear, Rick Rice is here. Crawford 371 says, the law offices of John Marks. And John Marks says, the law office of Marks, Rice, and Baus. And what? Yeah, and so John Marks says, oh, Barry's taking off. Barry's strong. Very strong. And so Andrew Buchanan asked me again what the deadline is. Thank you, John Marks, for following up. May 16th. You forgot 2018. Joseph Benson says, Zing, my fantasy football team is now 9-3 in first place with a 2-game lead in my league with 2 weeks to go before the playoffs. Hopefully, I'll win my first fantasy football title this year. Blue Man says, Raiders should have dipped to San Diego, rename themselves the California Raiders. You mean like the California Raisins? No, no. Oh, God. No, stay in Oakland. Why? I mean, they have a plan. So what? Stay in Oakland. Rick Rice says, sir, sit all your starters so they don't get injured, Joseph. Oh, my gosh. All right. It's 1:14. I'm going to shove off the Buffalo at 1:30. Joseph Benson says, laugh out loud, Rick Rice. I wish I was God. No. You know, that's not a job I would want. Blue Man says, Oakland is a what? Oh, Blue Man, you don't live in Oakland. John Mark says, laugh out loud, Rick Rice, because if you lived in Oakland, you know damn well Oakland's not a ghetto. Sorry. And Blue Man was kicked out by Barry Lee. Thank you, Barry Lee, for doing that before I did. But I had to say, you know, that Oakland is a great city. A lot of things going up with our brand spanking new, and so get out here. Rob Iman says Chargers should go back to San Diego. Melvin Lovejoy says Al Green was not suspended. All suspensions are a joke. Oh, AJ Green. Okay, not Al Green. AJ Green. I was thinking Al Green like the singer. AJ Green. All right. Crawford says, you the man, Barry. John Mark says, Barry Strong is the man. He is. Barry strongest there is. That's a play on the Hulk thing. Barry strongest there is. Hulk strongest there is. Used to crack me up the way Hulk talk. Hulk strongest there is. That was from the 1968 Gunther Rinke. Is it Gunther Rinke? What am I talking about? That's the infomercial people. It's the 1968. What are those cartoons that that cartoon producer that made the Marvel comics like Iron Man? Anyone remember the Iron Man theme song? Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with a heart of steel, and Iron Man, all jets of flame. Yeah, that sort of thing. Anyway, John Marks says Hulk smash. Carver says Kiko Alonso was not suspended for his hit on Elite Flacco. Nope. And John Marks says Filmation. No, not Filmation. Pedro Gallardo says I like the California Raiders, but in Oakland this is a Raiders state. No, not Filmation. It was. What was it? Let me look that up real quick. Like, remember the Mighty Thor? Thor 19, I believe it was 1968. I'm typing Thor 1968 to see what I get. You know, cartoon. And I'm sure it'll correct me. So I thought it was 68. And Mighty Thor. Let's see, the Mighty Thor. And cross the rainbow bridge of Asgard. Through the booming heavens roar, you'll behold in breathless thunder the god of thunder, mighty Thor. Love that stuff. It was actually 1966 through 67, and I'm trying to find, you know, what the producer was. Other than Marvel, I think, but it was another name, and that's what I'm looking for. That there's a graphic that has a title that comes up next to the cartoon. The cartoon has, you know, oh, there it is. Okay, hold on a second. It's I can't read this either. Something Productions. It wasn't Filmation. You know, maybe if I just type, you know, Thor 1968 or 67 cartoon. Maybe somebody on Wikipedia was brilliant enough to put that in there. Marvel Superheroes, Mighty Thor TV series, 1966, Blump, and Contemporary Adventures of Norse Gods. And no, that wasn't it at all. That's the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four had the cool jazz music, you know. Let's see here. Voices of... Doesn't say here. Oh. Okay, Hanna-Barbera was the Fantastic Four. That I remember. The Marvel Superheroes. It was a American-Canadian television series starring 5 comic book superheroes from Marvel. The first TV series based on Marvel characters. It debuted in syndication in 1966. It was produced, here it is. It was produced by Grand Trey Lawrence Animation, headed by Grant Simmons, Ray Patterson, and Robert Lawrence. Hence, Grand Trey Lawrence Animation. That's who produced it. Grand Trey Lawrence Animation. The distributor was Disney ABC Domestic Television. Original release September 1st through December 1st of 1966. When I was 4 years old. Yeah, 4 years old. So there we go. All right. No, Johnny Quest. You know Johnny Quest is racist, man. You know the story behind Haji? John Marks. You know, Haji's an Indian guy that they only had around because he was a snake charmer. It's just, he wore that goofy kind of like, you know, tight, you know, Yul Brynner type of thing with and he had the turban and all that. I'm like, dude. And they're gonna remake Johnny Quest. I'm not kidding you. Johnny Quest is in line for a reboot. Ugh. Rick Gray, how you doing? You are late. Because I'm sticking around for 9 minutes and I'm out. He says, I know Crabtree to leave that 2 games. Any news on Vegas? And did you think defense played better with a new D coordinator? Working backward, no, because the Paxton Lynch project just didn't go well. The game plan was terrible. And Trevor Siemian came in the 4th quarter, almost won the game for them. So then that begs the question, what would the Broncos' attack have been like had Trevor Siemian played the entire game, especially since that's the person Bill Musgrave wanted to start and not Paxton Lynch. Next question. Any news on Vegas? Yeah. Community benefits agreement is still stuck. Raiders are not agreeing to numbers, and that doesn't look like it's going to get resolved this year from what Stanley Washington tells me, who's an activist, has been very close to the project. And finally, you know about the Crabtree thing, okay? So, and yeah, I think Paxton Paxton needs some more work. He's not done. He's not done. And, you know, as I said the other day about Todd Downing, he could stick around. I think, you know, but the whole point is that for somebody in the Raiders to leak that out, that's so Raiders, you know? Kick a guy when he's down. That's so Raiders. Joseph Binsman says, wonder if the Raiders' momentum would be up big for the Giants game coming off, considering Crabtree's being suspended and still alive for the playoffs. And then he follows up, my Giants have taken out 2 AFC West teams already. Watch out. We're a capable spoiler. Ooh, Dim's fighting words, Crabtree style. Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's see what comments I missed here. I got you, Rick Ray. I got you. Patrick M. Blackman's talking about, you know, Vegas fans. And John Marks says Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Yeah, that's right. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web, any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out. There goes a Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bub, he's got radioactive blood. Watch him swing from a thread. Take a look overhead. Hey there goes a Spider-Man. In the jail at night, at the scene of a crime. Like the speed of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Welcome, friends. He's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big hang-up. Wherever there's a bang-up, you'll find the Spider-Man. You know what? And if you think about that song, encapsulated in that song is the reason why Marvel Comics is successful through the movies today. There's a key part of that. To him, life is a great big hang-up. And what you see in Marvel characters are their hang-ups. You know? That comes through even into the movies. They're hang-ups. And with DC, you just don't get that. You know, it's outsized. The writing is crappy. You got that with Wonder Woman. She had her hang-ups. She had her things, right? But it was like the exception to DC that proved the rule of DC, that DC's writing sucks, whereas Marvel's does not. And you would say that, and the question you would have to ask is, how come they haven't gotten Spider-Man right? Well, at first they did, with Tobey Maguire. Remember that? That was pretty good, but, you know, thanks to Amy Pascal, they got on this idea that Spider-Man always had to be, you know, permanently stuck in high school. And they didn't want him to grow. So they tried rebooting him with Andrew Garfield, and now they've got Tony, the other fellow, whose name just flew right out of my mind. Three Spider-Mans, three people have played Spider-Man in the 21st century. Yeah. So I don't know. Andrew Buchanan says, the only people who can still be fans of the Raiders move up are not from Oakland. Yeah, I think you're right. Because a lot of people, even people in California who are from, you know, LA and Fresno and that sort of thing, they don't get Oakland. They just don't get Oakland, the ethic of diversity in the town and what shaped the Raiders. It's more like they like the colors and what they think the colors stand for than what the team really stands for. That's the impression that I get. So, that really is the impression I get. Let's see here. we talking about? Oh, John Marks asks, is Spider-Man stronger than Superman? No, because Spider-Man can't move a planet, or he can't move. Spider-Man cannot lift an island into the air and put it into orbit. You know, Supergirl can do that. Superman can do that, and I believe even Wonder Woman can do that. But yeah, but Spider-Man cannot do that. Spider-Man would sit on the island. So, okay. So, Rob Iman says, no good coach would touch Tennessee with a 10-foot pole. Oh, what a terrible story. I want to talk more about that tomorrow. John Mark says, DC and Marvel did team up with Superman versus Spider-Man in 76. I didn't read that one. Big Eightful says, better show Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, or DC Legends of Tomorrow, plus Black Lightning is coming soon. Hey, Big Eightful, by the way, I cover Comic-Con and also CES, Las Vegas, some of those same animators floating around there, so stay tuned. It'd be nice to get somebody connected with those programs here in some kind of way. But remember, this Thursday, I've got the director of American Jedi, Laurent Marquand, coming on my show, 8:30 Pacific. American Jedi, that's right. American Jedi is a documentary about 3 people who follow the way of the Jedi in real life. And I'm talking about Jedi Knights from Star Wars. Should be really interesting. Should be very interesting, in fact. All right. I'm going to start bidding everybody adieu. It's 1:28. It's been a long day. I'll catch everybody. All right. Rick Ray, yeah, the Warriors lost, sadly. But I'm going to wax on and wax off. Was it wax on, wax off? Or is it wax off, wax on? You know, turn on, turn off. You know, turn left, turn right. Hello, you know, all that. Just love, peace, soul. Pack, you know, is it square on? Like that? Like that? Take care. Mimo says, don't, oh man, I'll be back. But hey, man, every, you know, I'll be back. One of these days, I'm going to go on for a long time. I just don't know when. Not this week. Good night, everybody. Peace out. I'll see you all. Keep hope alive. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, friends. Watch horror films. Keep America strong. Remember, book it. American Jedi, 8:30. Thursday. American Jedi, 8:30. Thursday. American Jedi. And Raider Kuko says, I should do a live show in Oakland. Hey, send me an email. Let me know where you'd like to see me do it. I got it. It's a great idea. I agree with you. I have an idea myself, like Perch Coffee, 440 Grand Avenue. Okay? Like to know your thoughts. All right, see you all. You know my email, right? Send it to me. I'll see you. Good night, everybody. See you.